Yo, what? This is downtown Adrianjayeonline with the kicking sounds in town. Welcome along to Adrianjayeonline. And this is Jaye's. It's not exactly BMW, it's not exactly garage. Well, it's tools. Don't go away, because you may break something. Okay, so I've got five things I want to tell you about not to do with tools. Some I've talked about in other videos, some I haven't. I'm inside the garage. The door is closed because I've got a lot of planes flying over, so I don't know what you're going to hear or not, as the case may be. Okay, so the first one is related to my favorite subject. This is related to my favorite subject of all time, torque wrenches. Yeah, this little buddy here. Now, a torque wrench is not a hitty stick. You could, if there was a burglar coming to get you, or a doggy, a pity or something. This is a precision tool, okay? This is designed so you don't over tighten things, or you tighten them to the right spec. There is a reason. Doing things too tight can in some cases be bad. For example, oil filter. When you tighten an oil filter, general rule of thumb that I have followed for 45 years is hand tight and then a quarter turn more. That's fine. Okay. Also, don't lubricate. I could talk for hours on torque wrenches. Okay, so another thing related to torque wrenches, which I really want to tell you about, is people lubricate things. Okay, now, for the love of God, for everything that is holy, read instructions, read manuals. Okay, don't listen to people on the internet. I'm saying don't listen to people on the internet. Okay, do your research. But you will see that if you look at some manuals that says install, replace, dry. Sometimes it'll say use a lubricant or whatever, right? There is a reason for that, okay? The reason being, right? Have you seen this anti-seize lubricant? Okay, copper slip, right? See this gunk? What people do is they put it on their wheel lugs. Yeah? Don't do that on any car. Don't do that. There's no manufacturer who will tell you to put on here, right? The reason being is, let's just say, this is for you guys who know how a torque wrench works. You have a settings on here. So you set it up to 100, let's say 100 foot-pounds. You put this in and you're tighten it. Now, how a torque wrench works, there's some kind of mechanism in there. So when it reaches 100, it goes click. So it almost slips, okay? So it stops you from over tightening it, okay? Now, do you know what happens? And I'll see if I can find the link. You can look for this online. Torque. It's going to be here somewhere. I really want to tell you about the channel. There's a good channel. They tested, not these, but a big bowl. They put thingy on there, set this to 100, and they kept tightening it till it clicked, right? The torque wrench clicked at 100, because this is what it's meant to do. It will click at 100. But they had, I've forgotten the gauge now, dynamometer or something, and it registered 200 foot-pounds. Right? So even though you think you have tightened this to 100 foot-pounds, it's doubled, right? And I've done that before. Before I knew about this, I did this on some of my one of my Dodge Neon, and I put crap on here, and the guys couldn't get the nuts off. They said, "What did you do?" I said, "Well, And then the guy said, you didn't put any kind of crap on the thread. I said, yeah, you're supposed to, aren't you? Mm-mm. It doubles the torque, up to doubles the torque. So while it will tighten it, the chances are the torque rating spec is out. So you end up over tightening this. Don't over tighten bolts. So don't use this crap on this. There's a specific use for this, and it's not this or spark plugs, right? Don't do it, right? Any kind of crap, don't put on it. It affects the torque range reading. So what I wanted to tell you about this now, right? That's a bonus. I think we're going to call that a bonus, right? On the back here, can you see you've got a forward and a reverse, right? So if you put it on, or left and a right. So what is it? Left, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, isn't it? So clockwise, you're tightening. You always know you're tightening when you're clockwise. And when you want to undo it, you like that, right? See? And when you tighten it, it's this way. Now, people go to their cars because they've put crap on the thread, so they can't remove it, right? Because most people, when you tighten this to 200 foot-pounds of torque, most people can't get, you know, the wheel brace. They can't remove it. They'll be stamping, and they can't because they've tightened it to 200 foot-pounds, not 100, right? So what they go is, oh, it's okay, I'll use my torque wrench. So they'll go lefty-loosey, put it in, and like that. Now, whilst you can do that, that's not what a torque wrench is meant for. You will bust your torque wrench. What you're supposed to do when you want to loosen bolts, you have two things to use. Either an impact wrench on reverse, so it's loosening, or you use one of these, a bar. The thicker and the longer the bar, the more leverage you have, so you can get them off. Doesn't matter if these idiots have used the torque stick to 300 foot-pounds. I can get it off with that. Don't use this. So the question, yeah, you in the back, I know what you're saying. So Adrian, why does it have a reverse? Why does it allow you to loosen? It's not loose. It's not telling you to loosen. There are times when you have a left-handed thread. I think water pump fans, viscous couplings have that. So what usually happens is they do that, so, and also on bike, what is it called, the pedals, right? Because if they're going in the same way as loosening, for example, right, then they can unscrew. So you actually have to do the thread so it's like it's tightened. Instead of tightening, you're tightening the other way. That's tightening it. I've seen it on some plumbing stuff as well. You go to put something on the plumbing thing and you think you're loosening, you actually tighten it more. So sometimes in some threads, if it's not opening, you just wonder if it's a left-handed thread. So that's what this is for. You set it to left-handed, right, L. So you've got a right and a left. You set it to L. And then what happens is when you doing it that way, you're not loosening it, you're tightening it, okay? Tip number one, don't use this to remove bolts. It's not for that. Use this. This is for loosening things or hitting people. This is for hitting people. And hey, that's a better idea, right? You will remember this. This is for hitting people and tightening. This is for hitting people and loosening. Does that make sense? Don't go hitting people. I don't want someone saying, I watched this video and Adrian Jaye said it's okay to hit people with the torque wrench. No, don't do that. Right, so that's a torque wrench. Now, that's all I want to talk to you about torque wrenches. Now, let me get my other tool and I'm going to show you a number 2. So most people go, okay, this is how most people use it. So they've got their bolt, they open this up to the widest, they put it on there, they close it till it's tight. Can you see? Okay, so it's a nice grip. And let's just say it's there, right? We try to tighten it. They get it and let's tighten it. Okay, let's tighten it. let's tighten it. Okay, that's how you've used it before. That's how I've used it before. The opposite way to loosen it, you put it on there, find it. Now let's loosen it. And usually you can't get enough grip on that, so you get something a bit bigger to loosen it. Here's another one. I realised I've got a bigger one here, which may even be better. You see here? It's the same thing, but bigger. So let's go here. We tighten it, get it to the right thing. Can you see here? Oops, sorry. Here. So we can tighten it or loosen it. Wrong. Wrong. That's very wrong. Don't do that. How you're supposed to use this is upside down. Okay? So, what you do is you may get this. You usually do that, right? Don't do that. This. Right? Can you see? It's upside down. Now, when you're trying to tighten, what you're doing, this bit here, can you see this is one part, right? This bit, can you see how wobbly and shaky it is, right? Can you see here? It's on a thread, right? So, whilst it really doesn't matter too much on something this small, right? Because you're not going to exert a lot of force on this, right? If you're using this on big old things and you're doing it this way, sorry, let me just go there. You've tightened it and you're going to now, let's say you've got to tighten it, right? Where is the most pressure force being exerted? It's not the top, it's the bottom. Can you see? You're pressing down on the bottom. What you should be doing is pressing down on the hard bit. Let's go here. Using this bit. This is just to grab it. The main force is on this bit here. So when you're like that, you're using this bit. Let's open this up a bit. You're using this bit, right? So that's how you're using it wrong. So what happens is, while it will work, right, you're more likely to damage this, okay, and this. See how loose this is? You see? This will snap, break. I've never had that happen, but I guess it depends on what you're using it for. This is nice and heavy, again, for hitting people. Don't hit people, I'm not telling you to hit people, but you're using it wrong. If you're doing this, it is wrong. You have to put it this way and use this leverage here to undo it, okay? Right. The number has to do with vacuum, shop vac. Now, I don't have my shop vac here. My shop vac is upstairs in my bedroom because I'm doing a deep clean. Now, in a shop vac, you usually have, two things. You have a filter, you have a bag, right? Now, a shop vac can do dry and wet. Now, if you are sucking up wet stuff, you don't need a bag, because the water will get ingested into the bag will disintegrate, and you'll have a pile of mush at the bottom of the thing. So you don't need that. And also you need a special filter, because they do different types of filters depending on, I've got a rigid. So you either have a filter which is for dry, wet, or both, I think. But forgetting that, we're talking about the bag. So that's where you wouldn't use a bag. So why would you not use a bag? And the bag's expensive. Expensive. So you should always use a bag. That depends on what you're using it for. If you're using it for woodworking, you get a lot of stuff. What happens is all the crap goes into the vacuum. And what happens is you have the filter, right? The filter, and that gets caked. And there was, I saw a video where someone did a test. They had a CFM flow meter, airflow meter. They put it on with and without a bag, and you lost a lot of the sucking power. So don't use a shop vac without one of these. For 3 reasons. 1, you lose power, sucking power. 2, it's messy as crap. 3, your filter is going to get blocked up. Now, I have a rigid, and for the same price, I bought a generic from Home Depot. I got 3 for the price of 2. I don't use this a lot, so that will probably last me a couple of years. Next thing I want to talk to you about, last one, number 5, pet peeve, is wrenches, sockets. Yeah, we like wrenches and sockets because we just love that stuff. Okay, let us see if we have. Yeah, I think we have. Okay, so see these? Each one of these is a point. Okay, I'll try and get a picture, a better picture. Can you see each one is a point? Okay, so we have our nut here. This nut has really served its purpose today. So you do on there. Can you see? Can you see how it grips? Okay, so you do you. Whoop. Okay. Have you ever wondered how many types of ratchet sockets there are? I think you get 12, 16, 6, 4, I think even. Why? Why do you have that many types of sockets or points sockets? Okay, I want to see if I can get. Okay, we can do one or two things. I want to find a. I don't think this will work. Lug nut analogy. Okay, because I think that works because those are the hardest ones to do. So let's start with a 2-point. That's a 2-point, right? It's 1, 2. So if we put this on our lug nut, can you see? Can you see? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 points. If we put a 2-point on here, depending on how tight it was, can you see how much surface area is gripping the actual bit here? Can you see? All of that area is being covered by this. Can you see? Assuming it wasn't torqued in too hard, if this was just for not a wheel lug nut but an ordinary lug nut, this would be ideal for tightening or loosening. Why don't we, actually I'll come back to you in 1 second because I want to explain this. Okay, so we go on here. Okay. In your lug nut set, you'll always have 6 points. You will never have more than 6. You won't have 4. You'll only have 6. Okay, because these are 6. So what happens is when you put it on, you can't see, but each one of those sides has full contact with each one of those. Can you see? Obvious, right? Because if it wasn't, it wouldn't fit. So can you see how it fits on there nicely? So what is happening is when you're tightening, you're getting the most amount of torque to this nut to both install and uninstall, removing. If you've got a tight bolt, you want all the pressure, all the power, all the foot-pounds of torque on those individual flat surfaces. Here's our 16-point or 12-point, whatever it is. If we put it on here, can you see that? I need to try and get a blown up picture, but can you, if you see, I don't know if I've got something here which I can show you, but if you look at there, can you see only a tiny fraction is on here? Only a tiny fraction, can you see? So what does that mean? What happens? Two things happen. Two bad things happen. Two things we do not want to happen. Okay? We want to, when we're working on a car, when we're working on things, we want to fix things. We don't want to break them. And what's the worst thing? Worst thing than breaking things? Come on. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. What's the worst thing than breaking? Making something worse. There's nothing worse for anyone coming to do something and saying, look, I couldn't do it, right? Or saying, sorry, I made it worse. That's a bigger F up, right? Don't make things worse. This will make things worse. Why? Because two things will happen, or the main thing will happen is, because you can't exert, so while this will work to tighten up, okay, actually it may or may not depend on how much foot-pounds of torque, right, you're looking at, right? But if you have, for example, this is a bad example, but if you have too much on there, even with a ratchet, and you're trying to tighten up, what happens is, while you're tightening, there isn't enough flat surface to grip the sides. So what you're doing is, you end up not being able to tighten it properly because you can't. There is not enough grip to transfer the torque that you're using to this bolt to tighten it up, right? What you end up doing is, it ends up slipping. We've all done that. You've seen it. You tighten, and it slips. What happens when it slips? I'm looking over there, sorry. What happens when it slips? If it slips, it rounds these off. You've seen, if you're a mechanic and you've gone and looked at bolts and you've seen the bolts are rounded off, that means some donut has used the wrong spanner, wrong ratchet, and tightened it too much, or tried to remove it, or used an impactor, zip, and has slipped it. Now, when you go to undo it, you can't undo it, right? Because now this is too big. It will slip. So you end up having to get a smaller one to fit on there. And then eventually, on some screws, what happens is they get rounded so much, you can't actually remove them without a big PITA. Okay, there are ways to remove rounded bolts. Okay, but that is why you don't do it. So, why do they have these? Should outlaw them, should ban them for life, even more than life. There are times, depending on the application in the bolt, where you may not have enough space to get your thing in. I've seen it sometimes, and there is not enough space. I don't know if I've got. There's not enough space to grip, to get in there to grip. You're trying. So it's enough to be able to get on there and just kind of loosen them. But the majority of bolts, if you see on a car, the ones which don't need a lot of torque are usually hidden away, and you can use little screwdrivers or these kind of things. It's okay to remove them, right? Because you're not going to put a whole heap of pressure on there. So you can get away with these things, right? That's the main reason why you use these. But on big F-off bolts, like wheel lug nuts and pulley bolts and stuff, that are out in the open, you need a big old tool, okay? And usually they are big ones, and you need to put a lot of pressure on there, right? So generally speaking, you will see these on smaller things where you need access to, okay? So there you go. Use the right, I guess this is a case of using the right tool for the right job. Always, like, I mean, if you look in my toolkit, I have massive amount of different types of tool. If we look at this, you know what this is for? It's for breaking people's fingers. customer won't pay, I'll put their fingers and break them. It's for the old-fashioned, well, old-fashioned, I say, flexible brake. Remember, if you want to stop the brake fluid from coming out of the pipe, you clamp it down, boom. I don't think I've used this more than once or twice, never on my BMW. Okay? There are a whole manner of tools that we have, we may use once or twice, but use the right tool and you generally will be fine. Okay? So there you go, top 5. 2 for the use of the torque wrench, 1 for using the crescent wrench, 1 for the vacuum bag, and 1 for wrenches and sockets. What do you think of my list? Is there any you can add to there? Put them down in the comments. Let me know what you should and shouldn't do with certain tools. I'd be interested to hear. Okay, so from yours truly, Big J and Jay saying peace and unity. I'm out of here like a thief tonight. If you like this video, please hit like, hit the bell button, and also subscribe. If you want to buy me a coffee and a donut, please do so. And hit super thanks and donate some money to the channel. I would totally appreciate that, but don't need to. We all like getting stuff for free, so it's okay. It's not a problem. Okay, take care. We out of here. Bye for now.